Another day, another barren rock. Commander Vine's mandibles clicked in irritation as her exploration ship drifted above a blue-green world 70 light-years beyond any registered human settlement. She had charted 57 such planets this cycle, most lifeless, some crawling with moss or microbes, all forgettable. Her science officer, Zarak, broke the silence. Unusual energy readings, Commander. Northern Hemisphere. Define unusual, Vine snapped. The last unusual had been an overexcited thunderstorm. Zarak's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. Artificial, radio emissions, and, his voice faltered, nuclear signatures. The bridge went still. Nuclear meant intelligence, sentience, first contact. The comms officer leaned forward, translucent skin pulsing in anxiety. I've isolated the signals. They're in Galactic English. Impossible, Vine hissed. No human colonies exist within 70 light-years. Nevertheless, the officer whispered, they are human. Military transmissions by the sound of it. The security chief, a predator species with armored scales, growled low. Humans. Aggressive, reckless monkeys with nuclear toys. Just what we needed still. Regulation demanded investigation. The shuttle descended through thick cloud cover, emerging above dense forests and a clearing that should not have existed. The crew gaped. There it was, a settlement, unmistakably human. Walls of steel, towering mechs patrolling the perimeter, missile silos disguised as grain silos, defensive turrets tracking the shuttle as it landed. By the stars, Zarak muttered, they're fortified. No distress beacons, Vine said tightly. No signs of fear. They are ready for us. As the shuttle touched down, humans surged from the settlement, not panicked, not curious, disciplined, armed. They moved like soldiers. The external speakers blared to life. Commander Vine raised her hands in the universal gesture of peace. This is Commander Vine of the Galactic Confederation. We come in peace and wish to establish. A human voice, gruff and uncompromising, cut across the transmission. Unidentified vessel, you have entered restricted airspace. Power down your systems and prepare to be boarded. Any hostile action will be met with lethal force. Silence swallowed the shuttle. The science officer whispered, they're not frightened. They're ready. Outside, the humans raised their weapons, not out of fear, out of habit. And that was when Commander Vine realized this wasn't first contact. This was walking into someone else's war. The shuttle doors slid open with a hiss. Heat, dust, and the heavy scent of oil rolled in. Commander Vine stepped out first, mandibles tight with restraint. The humans stood in formation, rifles leveled, their eyes cold and watchful. These were not colonists clinging to survival. These were soldiers waiting for war. A woman broke ranks and approached. Gray streaked her hair, and a scar traced her jawline, but her stance was steady, unflinching. She wore no ceremonial robes, no diplomatic garb, only battered combat armor marked with painted sigils. I am General Augusta Parker, she said flatly, and you are trespassing. Vine tried diplomacy. We are explorers of the Galactic Confederation. Our mission is peaceful. We did not know of your presence here. Then you don't keep good records. Parker's gaze was sharp, measuring. This colony was founded 3 centuries ago during the expansion era. A generation ship that never reported back. Zarak's tentacles twitched nervously. 3 centuries? That would mean… Yes, Parker cut him off. We've been on our own for a long time. Vine's eyes swept the settlement. Children moved among the streets, but even they carried sidearms at their belts. Everywhere she looked, mechs under repair, armored patrols, turrets tracking the horizon. Your colony is heavily militarized. Parker's expression didn't shift. We didn't have a choice. The alien officers exchanged glances. Militarized against what? The security chief muttered under his breath. Humans shoot first, ask questions never. This is proof. But Zarak was fascinated, his 4 eyes gleaming. No, this is not paranoia. Look, these defenses are layered, calculated. They were expecting siege-level threats. Commander, this isn't preparation for Confederation explorers. As if to punctuate his words, a klaxon blared in the distance. Sirens echoed through the settlement. Soldiers snapped to readiness. Civilians vanished into bunkers with drilled precision. Parker's comm unit barked. Hive movement detected on the western ridge. Massing swarm. The alien stiffened. Hive? Vine asked. General Parker turned, her voice like steel. You wanted to know why we're armed to the teeth? Why we don't fear first contact. She gestured to the horizon where a black tide of chittering forms crested the ridge, blotting out the sun. Because, while the galaxy forgot us, Parker's eyes burned with human fire. We've been at war with them. The swarm screamed as it poured down the ridge, and the lost human colony marched to meet it. The ground shook as the swarm poured down the ridge, tens of thousands of chitinous bodies, mandibles clicking, wings buzzing, a living tide hungry enough to strip the land bare. Commander Vine's officers froze at the sight. By the stars, whispered Zirak. It's a planetary scale hive. No colony should have survived this long, yet we have, General Parker snapped. She raised her fist and the settlement roared to life. From hidden bays, towering mechs lumbered forward, 10 meters tall, armored in steel and painted with clan emblems. Their footfalls thudded like drums of war. Children of lost settlers, now steel titans built for survival. Artillery turrets swiveled from beneath camouflaged rooftops. Silo doors groaned open, revealing rows of missile launchers disguised as barns. Soldiers snapped into exosuits, each one carrying weapons carved from generations of necessity. Fire control, Parker barked. The first volley screamed into the swarm, missiles arcing high before detonating in sheets of flame. Chitin cracked, alien shrieks filled the air, but the swarm pressed forward, endless. The mechs waded in. One swung a plasma-scorched halberd, carving swathes through the creatures like wheat. Another unleashed a rail cannon shot that blew a crater into the tide. Zirak clutched his console, eyes wide. Their technology is primitive by Confederation standards, yet optimized beyond belief. Every bolt, every weld is for killing hives. They've built an entire society around war. The security chief snarled. Monsters fighting monsters. But Vine wasn't so sure. She saw humans moving like a single organism, disciplined, fearless, not a panicked militia, a civilization forged in fire. A section of wall buckled as the swarm breached, bodies crashing into the streets. Soldiers met them blade to mandible, rifles spitting plasma. Even civilians emerged from bunkers carrying shotguns and Molotovs. No one here was defenseless. The ground shook again, this time from above. Vine looked up in disbelief. A human-built gunship, patched together from salvaged wrecks, bristling with railguns, swooped overhead and strafed the ridge, cutting swaths through the horde. The swarm faltered, retreating back over the ridge in a chittering wave, leaving burning carcasses in their wake. The Confederation officers stood in stunned silence. Parker turned to them, lowering her rifle. Her scarred face was hard, but her voice carried a quiet pride. You see now. We don't wait for help. We don't beg. We fight. She leveled her gaze at Vine. And if your Confederation wants our cooperation, it will be on our terms. Smoke drifted across the battlefield, acrid and thick, but the colony stood unbroken. Mechs powered down one by one, their scorched plating still glowing. Soldiers moved with practiced calm, hauling away the wounded, cleaning weapons and burning carcasses before infection could spread. Commander Vine's mandibles clicked in disbelief. How have you endured this? A hive of that size should have overwhelmed you centuries ago. General Parker's eyes narrowed. Because we learned. Every battle is a lesson. Every death, a reminder. We adapt faster than they evolve. Zirak leaned forward, his four eyes gleaming. Adapt? You mean, you study them? Parker gave the faintest nod. We don't just fight the swarm. We dissect them, test them, build against them. Those mechs, their armor was reforged from hive carapace. Our bioweapons, tailored to exploit their weaknesses. Every time they come, we send them back bleeding, and we keep the knowledge. The Confederation officers exchanged uneasy glances. The Predator-scaled security chief growled low. You've turned survival into obsession, into madness, but Zirak shook his head fiercely. No, into mastery. These humans have transformed desperation into doctrine. Parker's scar caught the firelight as she stepped closer, her voice dropping. We've been abandoned for 3 centuries. The galaxy forgot us. But out here, the hive didn't. They come in waves, bigger each generation. And one day they won't just come for us. Vine stiffened. You mean? Parker's gaze was iron. They'll come for all of you. Your Confederation sits fat and complacent, blind to the dark between stars, but we've seen it, we've lived it, and we've beaten it. From the ridge, another mech raised a severed Hive Lord's head on a pike, a ritual of victory and warning. The humans around it cheered, voices raw and defiant. Vine felt the weight of history pressing in, the truth heavy in her chest. This wasn't just a lost colony. This was a war machine forged in isolation, tempered by blood and fire. And now they were no longer hidden. General Parker looked back at Vine, her voice carrying the weight of centuries. So tell your Confederation this. Humanity doesn't kneel. We'll fight beside you, if you have the spine. But we don't need saving. The scarred general's eyes burned like twin suns. Because when the swarm comes for your worlds, remember who was ready first. The shuttle lifted from the scorched settlement, its hull rattling with the echoes of the battle still raging in Vine's mind. Below, humans moved like ants across their fortress city, repairing, reforging, already preparing for the next wave. Inside the shuttle, silence pressed heavy. Zirak finally broke it, his 4 eyes glowing with awe. Commander, do you realize what this means? A human colony cut off for centuries not only survived, but thrived. They've advanced in ways the Confederation never considered, the security chief snarled, baring sharp teeth. Advanced? They're savages, Commander. A people that makes war, their religion is a danger to every star system. Vine turned her gaze to the viewport, watching the armored mechs below salute the burning ridge. Her mandibles twitched. Or they may be the only reason we survive what's coming. The comms officer's voice trembled. Should we report this? If the Confederation learns, they'll see humanity as a threat. Vine's mandibles clacked softly, an alien sigh. They already are a threat, but they're also a shield, and gods help us if the swarm truly spreads across the stars, because the only ones prepared to face it are those savages down there. Through the viewport, a flare shot into the sky from the settlement, bright, defiant, unmistakable. A signal not of surrender, but of challenge. Zirak whispered, almost reverent. They fight as if war is their birthright. General Parker's final words echoed in Vine's mind, chilling and undeniable. When the swarm comes for your worlds, remember who was ready first. The shuttle broke atmosphere, leaving behind the war-forged colony. But Vine knew the truth. Humanity hadn't just been found. Humanity had returned. And this time, they weren't the Confederation's stragglers. They were its sharpest blade.